Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. Last night, another Champions League semi-final, this time played out between Manchester City and PSG of course, and it ended with Manchester City and Pep Guardiola stamping 1 foot into the final. They are 1 foot through the door, so to speak, after a 2-1 victory in Paris last night over PSG, fighting back from a goal down to beat Mauricio Pochettino's side. They could be on the verge of their first Champions League final. This was a game on paper that was set to be incredible. It was set to be mouth-watering. It was set to be just a complete spectacle to watch. Something you had to see, and it certainly delivered in some cases, because this was a great game all round, a great game to watch. We're going to talk about this game, we're going to talk about what it means for the second leg next week. But before we do, a reminder to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back to talking about last night's Champions League action between PSG and Manchester City, in which City and Pep Guardiola's side have got 1 foot in the final, it seems. The game looks set to be an intense, thrilling, mouth-watering and end-to-end encounter between two super rich and wealthy powers within football. And it certainly delivered. It certainly delivered on that score. And in terms of this competition, of course, this was being played out between arguably the two favourite teams to be left in the competition. They were two of the favourites even before this round of fixtures to go on and win this competition. So this was set to have even more layers added to this game than just it being a football match played in a semi-final of the world's biggest cup competition. And when it was revealed that, of course, these two teams were going to meet in the semi-final, it was sure to be a fantastic spectacle for not only fans of both teams, but also for neutrals as well. And it didn't disappoint. But if I can use a classic cliche to describe this game, it would have to be that this was certainly a game of two halves. The first half belonged to PSG. They had a game plan for the most part that was executed perfectly. They were calm in possession, playing some nice football here and there to beat City's press, neutralised City's midfield, and therefore stopped City's attacking players from getting into the game and troubling them defensively. The French side looked the sharper, the more livelier, and on the quarter-hour mark, PSG made their pressure and intensity count and were rewarded with an opening goal as Marquinhos headed home Angel Di Maria's corner. And from there, despite a late chance and a late scare for Phil Foden, who had his effort on goal straight at Keylor Navas in the PSG goal, PSG saw out the first half and went on to do that so in a controlled manner. Seeing the first half out 1-0 to the home side. In the second half though, City improved a lot as they turned up the heat and turned up the intensity. They were wanting that away goal to take back to the Etihad with them next week, and PSG were backing off and sitting deeper as time ticked on. Kevin De Bruyne acrobatically fired over from inside the penalty area before the Belgian midfielder went on to equalise moments later. De Bruyne picked up the ball just inside the left wing position and curled a teasing ball into the penalty area, and it evaded everybody and bounced straight into the back of the net. Several minutes later, City found themselves 2-1 up. From a free kick to City, the PSG wall broke as Riyad Mahrez stepped up to strike it, and his effort found its way into the back of the net, beating Navas and firing City ahead in this tie. Moments later, PSG's poor second half display was made even worse by the dismissal of Idrissa Gueye for a straight red card following his challenge on Ilkay Gundogan, as City saw the game out from there to take 2 away goals back with them to the Etihad next week. Like I said, this was certainly a game of two halves, wasn't it? PSG controlled the first half, but in the second half, City woke up and shifted through the gears and, okay, maybe got a little bit fortunate with some of the poor defensive errors conceded by the French champions, but they did great to capitalise on all of that and end up fighting back to win this game and put themselves in a very, very good position going into the second leg, and of course progressing through to their first Champions League final, a trophy which of course has evaded Pep Guardiola for many years since winning it back with Barcelona over 10-12 years ago. And of course with City, this is the trophy that they've always wanted to win ever since they had that huge money takeover and have started to build this sort of dominance over English football, and of course they're wanting to expand that into the European football as well. So this is huge for City. This will be a massive game for them next week. And you know, going back to this game, if I may, the first half, you're thinking that City's lack of a recognised striker may come back to bite Pep Guardiola. They didn't seem to have much movement in attacking areas or were causing problems to the PSG defence overall. And from Mauricio Pochettino's side, it was the perfect half of football for him and a well-executed game plan by his team. They looked calm and composed on the ball, beating City's press, looking dangerous going forward. But in the second half, it kind of all faded away. City fought back and PSG began sitting deeper in their own half. And also were getting more and more frustrated. You could tell that with some of the challenges going in, that PSG were getting more and more frustrated as time ticked away. And the red card just kind of summed up that element of the game for the French side. We then saw defensive errors from them begin to creep in, and they were both evident within the goals that City had scored. First, not being brave enough to deal with De Bruyne's cross, which found its way into the back of the net. And the second, well, the two players at fault for breaking that part of the wall and parting ways and letting the ball go through. Well, they did what they did, but that's not your role. You shouldn't be doing that if you're part of the wall. You're the first line of defence, and that's not what you're supposed to be doing in that scenario. They failed to do their job in that instance. For City, like I say, a golden opportunity now to see this second leg out and go on to progress to their first Champions League final. And then you'd have to imagine that they are probably the favourites. You look at the other half of the draw between Chelsea and Real Madrid, of course, and City are probably the favourites to go on and win the competition if, of course, they can get past PSG in another 90-minute game next week. Of course, anything can happen between now and then, but you probably would imagine that City would be the favourites going into the final, regardless of who they're going to be facing. But for them in this game, poor first half, better second half. They got the job done, which was to get the away goal, and a bigger bonus for them was to get a second away goal, of course. They have one foot in the final, you feel, but the job, of course, like I say, isn't done yet. There's still chance of PSG fighting back themselves. There's still another 90 minutes to go at the Etihad Stadium next week, of course, and anything can happen when these two sides clash next week. How will the second leg shape up? It's even more interesting now, isn't it? We know for a fact that PSG need at least 2 goals to attempt to qualify themselves, thanks to City securing 2 away goals themselves in this leg. And as we all know, this rule could be a very important factor come the final whistle. And with Kylian Mbappe up front, who, okay, showed small glimpses of what he can do. He wasn't as effective in this game as what he has been throughout this competition and throughout the domestic league for PSG in the past. And of course, with Neymar aiding him alongside him, who made a strong start in this game but faded as the game went on. It's certainly a possibility that, of course, PSG will be able to fight back in this game. But against a strong and resilient defence, one of, if not the strongest defence right now, possibly in Europe, in Manchester City. It will, of course, be no easy task for the French champions, especially because City don't need to attack and chase the game as much as what PSG do. So City will need to remain calm, they'll need to remain composed and professional to see out the remaining 90 minutes of football. And if they can do that and not lose the tempo and the control on this game, then ultimately they will progress to the final. They'll have the best chance of winning their first Champions League title. You feel it's going to be an interesting 90 minutes at the Etihad next week, isn't it? Will they do it? Don't count PSG out. We've seen in recent years incredible semi-final comebacks in this competition alone. But City's defence may be a bit too strong for them here. And in chasing the game, of course, it does mean that PSG may leave spaces in key areas that City could possibly exploit on the counter-attack and really punish the French side next week. And then go on to completely put this tie to bed in the process and book their ticket to the final in Istanbul. Another 90 minutes ahead. It's going to be another exciting clash between these two to see who they will face in the final. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What do you make of this game? What do you make of PSG's strong start and City then taking control and fighting back from a goal down to win the game? What do you make of the performances of both sides? What do you make of next week's second leg encounter? Who gets knocked out? Who progresses to the final? Who do they face in the final? And of course, who wins this competition? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call them, down in the comment section below. I'm sure they'll all make for interesting reading. But of course, and as always, please like the video on your way out if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. Thank you all for watching. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video.